Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll get this meeting started. It is 9:12 on Thursday, February 3rd. All right, so our agenda today, item number 1 is approval of our February 3rd agenda, which is today's agenda.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, anybody have any issues with it? Okay, by acclamation, that has been approved. Okay, we have a couple of attendees today. So we're going to jump to our first attendee, which would be item number 11, which is 114 Sudden Valley Drive. It's an exterior alteration request. It says here old business, and I'm sure I do have some notes here. So
I'll go ahead and bring that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, John.
No problem.
And we'll let you guys turn to your 114 Sudden Valley.
Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
We're good. My wife Sarah's here with me.
Hello.
Good morning. Okay, so 114 Sudden Valley Drive, exterior alteration request. It looks like you want to replace the grass next to the road with gravel to allow for more parking.
Yes, sir.
You got 3 sons coming of age and starting to drive, and I did see yesterday was 3 cars around there, so you had 3 cars in the driveway. You're trying to make some additional room for parking. You had a previous conversation with Darren, which is he's no longer with Sudden Valley, but he was the head of maintenance at the time, and he gave you some great ideas for materials to use because you do have a catch basin, a big actually natural catch basin, which is right next to you, the lot right next door. And you do get some water running over that direction. Okay, any discussion, guys?
Yeah, I'd like to know under your driveway, if you're looking at the house on the left side, you can see the drainage pipe, the culvert. And because of that big bush there, I couldn't see, does the culvert come out on the side where you want to put your parking area?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And how are you going to handle that drainage if you put or build a parking space there?
So we're planning to dig down far enough so that the gravel would not cover that opening in any way. And we're also on top of the hill, and the water tends to drain away from us on either side. We have never seen any pooling at all in the 20 years we've been here. And we have been looking for it.
But yes, Darren at the time did tell us we needed to keep that clear. And one of the things he discussed that you might require of us is that we box it in with timbers to prevent gravel from either migrating towards the road or into that drainage area. It's not part of our proposal, but that would not be unexpected if you wanted to put on that provision.
Rich, you have anything?
Well, timbers seems, well, timbers isn't bad. I guess if you're doing pressure treated, as long as you know it can't be railroad ties, that's a big no-no.
Okay.
In the shed. But I want to make sure we might need a variance for when you do rock up against the roadway. There's I forget what it is. I don't have it in front of me, but there's a portion of the policy that says, like, especially for driveways, it has to be paved all the way up to the road. You can't do a gravel curtain or something like that.
It has to be concrete curtain. Yeah, it can't be gravel right up against the roadway. However, that's interesting you brought that up. And I'm actually glad you did. That's something that I probably would need to talk to George more about too and get on an agreement with that, because we do require that on driveway aprons, right? So it has to be concrete 3 feet from the edge of pavement, into toward your property, and then you can go gravel if you wanted to. We prefer not; it would stay concrete. However, we haven't required that on parking, on front parking spaces like that, on roadway parking.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously staff can approve it, but that's the only, and the only reason I have that concern is because I'm in the same boat you are. I have a quasi gravel parking area that the builder had put in when I moved into my house, and I've lived there for almost 20 years, and every year I watch it wash away and I have to repair, and it gets all over the road and it just becomes a real mess. And that's the only reason I would have a concern, just more as a neighbor than anything else.
Yeah, George, do you have any insight on that? Is George still with us, or is, I guess not. Okay, that's something that I think George, as a planner, should probably look into as well.
George,
Sorry that we're bringing it
my
up.
understanding, excuse me, my understanding is the concrete curtain for driveways. I mean, a lot of times driveways are at an angle, right? So that naturally everything will flow downhill. You're right, we do. I've seen this in the community, and there'll be gravel right up against the roadway, so there's definitely a discrepancy there. I'm not sure why we don't call that out explicitly in ACC policies.
Mm-hmm.
But my assumption, running on an assumption that the curtain for driveways is most often because there's a downhill, there's a slope, so gravity will always win and pull that gravel out into the road.
Yeah, my understanding was also too for when cars are leaving ingress and egress, you're pulling that gravel with you every time you leave, and you're treading your tires or whatnot, you're pulling that up on the road. So you have that apron there to kind of disperse that, get rid of it before you hit the road. Okay, guys, so all right, so my questions that I had, one that I had written up here is one, this is going to be in the Sudden Valley right away, from best I could tell anyway. So Sudden Valley would need to have their approval. So this would require George and probably Dan's approval, or at least George's approval, to go out and look at it, and maybe maintenance, if we have that ability yet. And if not, and then I had the drainage issue, because there's a natural drainage issue there, which Joe Jean alluded to a little bit, that drains underneath their driveway. Unfortunately, where they want to park the cars, it is kind of a high spot. It looks like it goes to the left of where the cars are going to park, and then goes into a big reservoir in the lot next door. There's a big round, natural, probably 4 foot deep or so, 5 foot deep reservoir. And so I was concerned about the drainage. Was the only concerns I had with it. Was the Sudden Valley right away and drainage was my concern. And John, I think, kind of addressed that. He's got some ideas, some plans. He's obviously aware of it, that it needs to be an issue that needs to be concerned. He needs to be concerned with, and we need to address that in our comments if we go to approve this.
So, okay. And were the materials that were proposed, I'm going to assume that he proposed clean gravel, not stuff with fines that'll pack and
right. He said the goal was to basically create a semi-permeable parking space so that we didn't impact drainage so badly. So that's that's why he wanted the 3/4 crush and then the 5/8 minus over the top.
Yeah, believe me, you will thank him for that. That's the best suggestion you can get, is make sure it drains.
So
I just wanted to comment. I do believe that this is squarely in Sudden Valley's right of way on the front of the property. We concur that this is a concern.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what the impacts of that are for you guys, but
it's not that big a deal for us, John. We would just make our decision to approve. If we do so, we would pass that right on to George, and then George would make the final decision, that knowing that we're in approval. He would probably want to drive out there and take a look at that, I'm assuming, before giving his blessing, or Sudden Valley's blessing on it would be the only.
Did you already check and see if your utilities are underground on that side of the road, or are they on the opposite?
I mean, it depends on the utility. The electrical and the cable primarily runs on the other side of the road and crosses over. However, the water is on that side.
Okay, yeah. And it's usually 18 to 20 inches down. So
I
wouldn't go that deep.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it marked before, but before you dig, you're supposed to call them out. If that's what you want us to do again, we can, but we are aware of what's there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I will move to approve then, Keith, if there's no other discussion.
I'll second.
Okay. Well, congratulations. That gets approved unanimously. Now we do want to add our comments in there, correct? This will get passed on to comment one. It will be passed on to George because it is in Sudden Valley's right away. So Sudden Valley make the final determination. Drainage issues, George, which is probably already on your radar list anyways. So that's something you're going to want to check and maybe discuss with the owner when you get there. And then I think Rich brought up a great idea. Maybe we have some standard verbiage that gets put on these things that any digging that's going to be done or whatever, you have to call for, get an alert, underground alert prior to digging. I'm sure it's pretty common sense, but maybe we just add that to your letter or whatever you're sending out, or email, or however you're doing it now, texting, whatever.
It's also the law.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Thank you.
So, all in favor? Everyone's in favor. That was approved by majority there. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, approved. Okay, John, did you find out who our next attendee is?
Yes, they are for 310 Autumn Vista, new construction.
What's the address?
310 Autumn Vista.
I have a 15 Autumn Vista.
Yeah, there's confusion here between lot division and lots. This is 15 Autumn Vista. It's lot 310, division 22.
Gotcha. Okay, no worries. Okay. Okay, great, John. You can bring them on over.
All right. John, I've brought you into the meeting. You're welcome to unmute when you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Doing fantastic. Yeah, so we're basically asking for a height variance. We've got a kind of an interesting lot. We've got two hard kind of basalt or whatever they are, a plateau, almost 9 to 10 foot difference. And it divides this lot in half pretty much. So that's forcing us to put a garage on the lower half of the plateau and then begin the house on top of the plateau. And I'm trying to get, by your definition of height, number one puts us way over. We're not going to meet that 30 foot, I believe. So we got to go definition 2 on height, and we're still slightly over. So for us to go down, we'd have to blast out all this basalt. But the problem with that is on the east side of this lot, we're retaining, there's some type of guy anchors retaining that wall on Lakeway Boulevard, if you're familiar with that. So there's no way we want to disturb, that hillside. So now we're kind of just on a difficult lot. I'm not sure, any other better way to make this thing shorter. We're at 312 pitch, hip roof. So we are, it feels like we're maxed out. I don't want to go any less than that. It feels like a maintenance issue to go down to 1.5 or something like that.
You're going to have to go with 7 foot tall ceilings. And,
yeah, no, I'll do a 4 foot garage.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And we definitely considered that as well. It's anecdotal, but the owner of this home, he is 6'8". And I said, hey, if we do 8 foot plate, we can pull this thing off. And you look at him, he would not want to live in that house. So.
Okay.
But I don't think that's really a height variance issue. Like giants live here. I don't think that's. But I understand that he also doesn't want to live in that house. So.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I guess I will start just because I do have some issues with this, and I did send an email out to George on this, and I am sorry again. I don't believe I CC'd the rest of the committee on this. So my concern is. It's a great location, right? Beautiful on that little bluff right there. It's also the view of the lake right behind you for the houses that are behind you. So I had some issue. I did walk it. I did see all the pins that are in that hill that are holding that hillside together with that chain link and everything in there. And I agree with you that is a concern. And actually, I was concerned how you're going to build there without disturbing that already, or anybody. I looked at it actually like a year ago. So. And then I just looked at it a couple of days ago. So I have my biggest issue is really the houses behind you. What view if any. I don't know that we are taking away any views other than the obvious views of your house being built there, but by allowing it to be I think it was 1 foot 9 inches taller. What views are we obstructing from the houses behind you? And I know we can find that out. There's ways to find that out, but that was my concern. I'm just throwing that out there. That was
I don't have any like photographic, evidence that will be, it doesn't make any difference, and that their elevation is slightly higher or any of that.
Right. I got you. Yeah. But there is a way to do that. I've had to do that before in a commercial project, and we were building a preschool next to a residential area, and we had to project the line of sight, and so they can do that stuff. It can be done, but that is my concern, and I don't know if that's everyone's concern, John. That's just my concern. So that's the biggest concern I had when I walked the project was the houses behind you. What are we doing to those? Go ahead, Jolene.
I actually climbed up that mountain to see what it looked like on the other side. And it's a great view, but I was also really concerned about the houses behind them. And I think that they'll block their view. And so that's a big concern to me also.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, I think that's about the only question I had was the height and would it block anything. But honestly, from what I could tell from the road, it didn't look like it was going to be a huge impact.
I mean, either way, we're getting a home, right? So, if it was down a foot and a half, I mean, I don't know if that makes any difference.
Yeah, well,
so
it
does
does
across the street either, but
if you picture you having it does actually. So height limit probably makes biggest difference, unfortunately, on your lot than in a lot of areas here, just for the fact that view. So if you had an ocean view, people pay a lot of money to have an ocean view, and we're going to take away some of that ocean view. Let's call this a lake view, right? The lake view will be taken possibly, and again, John. So that's the deal. I don't know that we'll be taking away any lake view from anybody. Yeah. It's possible a portion of your house that's going to increase a foot 9 inches may not obstruct anybody's view. If you could get that, if there's a way, and there is a way, it could be done, line of sight. Your architect could figure that out. I would love to know, because that is my biggest concern. So we say we go, we approved your variance, and all of a sudden we got 8 to 10 homeowners that all of a sudden are threatening to sue us because we allowed you to build your home and took away their view from their deck.
Right. Is there a home at 12 Autumn Vista or 14? This is kind of a cul-de-sac, right? It's kind of end of the road.
Yeah.
There's a big buffer down there that we have to stay off of as well.
Yeah, there is, and you know what? I walked beyond your lot. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before. Sorry, it was the day before. Looks like there's a lot possibly even next to you, and I don't know that because I did not check that out. I just made a note on the paperwork here that might be available. I do not know that to be true or not, and it seems really odd because of the utilities that are right out in front. You would have no access to that lot, and maybe Sudden Valley might own that lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I believe there's 2 vacant buildable lots on either side of this proposed residence. And then there are lots across the street.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now, the way it would stand, John, we would say denied, right? And I'd be willing to say deferred until we can get some additional information on line of sight obstruction, unless George, you have some insight on this at all, being in land planning and whatnot.
No, I mean, my concern is just whether or not it's, is it going to affect the aesthetic value of the existing homes in the neighborhood, and blocking by the view, that's that. That's my concern. I think if there was, if there was a side cut diagram showing, existing homes and the line of sight, that would help us, obviously make a clear determination whether or not there is an obstruction. My gut is that a 1.9 is not going to obstruct too much of anything. It's not an entire another level. It's pretty small, but that's just sort of my sentiment. But I do think a sort of a side cut with a line of sight and neighboring properties would help us determine if there is any obstruction to view. That would make it clear.
All right, then I would make a motion myself then to defer with comments.
Yeah, I'll second that. That makes the most sense to me.
All in favor of deferral with comments? Okay. That's unanimous.
Is that something I can be emailing to you, or is this another first of the month?
No, you would it would go through. Well, you know what? That's a fair question, actually. Yours is a tricky one. It's going to take some research and some looking into. Chances are by the time you get everything and we get everything done, it'll be at our next meeting anyways. But I think we could make the comment on there if everyone's willing to do this, that if he provides that to us, we could take a look at that at our leisure, and we could all make an email determination. If that sounds about right, I think I need some additional discussion with George and possibly with Dan on this one. But I can have that.
Yeah, because our next meeting's on the 17th. Is that right?
I don't have a count. Let me see that. I believe so.
I think that's right. But so, yeah, so it wouldn't be until next month that we would probably be able to discuss if we need to on the 17th.
Okay, and so we could do either photographs or potentially like a road cross section.
Yeah, that would work.
Either of those. Okay.
Yeah. Either of those or a combination, I think, would be sufficient.
Also, I'd like to throw out that I think it's a beautiful house. I like the movie room a lot.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah, I got no problem with the house.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. And, people are going to build there and the house is going to take the view away. I get that. My concern is just 1.5 feet. The houses that are elevated up there behind you, they have a view of that lake too.
Well, what if I request 3 feet and then we compromise at 1.5 feet? No? I mean, you get a win. You get a win then.
I'm going to go against 3 feet.
Yeah. All right, very good, guys. Well, thank you for your time, John. I appreciate that. And George will get you everything you need.
All right,
do we make an official motion on that?
Oh, yeah, yes, we do.
Defer.
Someone, okay, Rich, you're going to make a move to defer?
No, Keith motioned, I seconded, and we approved deferral.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll get back to you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
See ya.
Yeah, that was 15. Okay. All right. Now we are going to, no one else is in attendance. Is that correct, John?
That is correct. That's everybody.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. We're going to move back up to the top of our agenda, which would be item number 2, approval of October 7th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
I have a comment. I think the committee attendees need to be listed in the minutes.
Oh, yeah. I didn't notice that.
Say that again, Joe Jean. I'm sorry I missed you.
We need a list of the attendants that attend all of the ACC meetings.
That's correct.
I think they were on some other minutes, but on the October 7th, they're not.
Yeah, and I have to be honest, because we had, staffing issues and whatnot, I took meeting minutes a few times and I failed to do that myself. And I, not that I know I did it on this one, but I apologize for that. But I realized it after the fact that I failed to put.
It's no big deal, but these are official records and things.
Correct. Yeah, we actually are, I believe, supposed to have unexcused absences as well versus excused absences. But since we're so thin right now, I think I'm just happy we have people that are here doing this. So then we have our quorum this morning. So I'm good with that. So can we get, so we do need to make those comments, but I don't know that George, you'll be able to find out who was in attendance. I guess you could by viewing the videos. You could probably see and add people.
We could, if it was just the October 7th that's missing, we could, defer a decision to approve that, and I could have to go back to Deb and have her.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, I don't mean you should go back and change that one unless
Sure.
it's easier.
There might be a reason that she didn't include them, but we could, moving forward, absolutely. We could.
Yeah, so like starting from today forward, we want to make sure we have everyone in attendance at least. I know we have on the last several, and we always try to do that, but I just want to make sure. We have had so many different people, we are losing, I guess, continuity of how we've been doing things. So, okay, that was the only comment. So we're actually going to move to approve with those comments. So once you address that, that will be considered approved by the committee.
Okay.
Okay, item number 3, approval of November 4th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. You're muted, Rich. There you go.
Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I've got to jump out of here. I got to go to a case. Sorry.
Oh, gosh. Okay, man. Thank you for your coming in this morning. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. We'll see you, Rich. Okay, item number 4, approval of January 6, 2022 meeting minutes.
I have some changes to that one too, and they also go along to the January 20th. My last name is spelled K-O-S.
That's okay. Are we no longer holding quorum right now, though?
We are in quorum.
Yeah.
Because we can start the meeting with quorum, and then we can lose attendees during the meeting, and we can continue with attendees we have. That doesn't mean we won't get in. We possibly could end up in a bind if Georgina and I didn't agree on a.
Absolutely.
So that could happen. So Georgina, now is for item number 4 and 5. Your last name was spelled incorrectly.
That's correct.
And did you have any other comments on those?
Oh, no.
Okay, so those are moved to approve with said comments. And that'll be by majority now. So that would be item 5 and 6. George?
I'm
sorry. Item 5, excuse me.
4 and 5.
Yeah, 4 and 5. Thank you, guys. Look at that. I just jumped in there and approved one huckleberry all in one motion. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, which is 1 Huckleberry Court, exterior alteration. I did put comments / discussion, so let's take a look.
I'll move to approve. You're supposed to have a motion before you discuss things, but.
Okay, well, I don't mind discussing and then we can make the motion, but if you want to make a motion to approve, that's fine. I wouldn't second that because I would have comments in there.
Well, generally, you make a motion, then someone seconds it, and then you have the discussion and then you vote. But
okay.
Yeah, I was on the board too long.
So. No, that's fine. That's fine. So I'll second your motion.
Okay, and now I have some comments.
Okay, very good.
I think, let's see. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I don't have any comments. I'll move to approve.
Okay, I have a few comments that also too, George, I wanted to kind of state that maybe we could start handing out something when these people come in and give their applications in, right? They turn them in, or they see something online, or however it's handled internally with you guys, that they get some kind of handout that says addresses should be clearly displayed on the houses. If they're doing fencing or decking, anything like that, adding any additions, that needs to be staked out, and we need to see those lines. So when we're walking a project, we're not guessing where things are going and how it's going to be done. And so at this project, I kind of noticed that because there's a lot of stuff you're looking at some pictures that they sent in and they doodled on, and we're supposed to look at that and go, okay, guess what they're trying to do. Property lines aren't staked, the corners, things like that. It makes it very difficult on us. So my comments on this project was I wanted to make sure that the retaining wall goes no taller than 48 inches tall, without county permit or engineering. That'll be required. It didn't say anything about materials. What materials are they using here? It just said stacked, unless I missed it. I don't know what they're using for a retaining wall. So I think that to me was a big issue. What are they using for location? The location needed to be staked out, although like I said, you can kind of figure it out if you walk the property. You can figure out where the retaining wall is going and get the idea of what they're trying to do. But it still would have been nice to have staked out or some flags or something indicating where the retaining wall is going. And then again, which was number 4, no property boundaries are staked. And we should always make sure we have notes on there. Tree roots, you know, should be always cautious with caution when digging, you know, because you got to put a footing in for retaining wall. So there's a retention pond there that this is by. I don't like the idea of it, but I can see why they'd want to do it. It's a very pretty setting. I think it will look great. But does anybody know what materials they're using?
Well, it just says it's going to be 3 blocks high. So
we just, yeah, see, so that's why I don't like, because it leads us to make assumptions.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't like that. I like when they say we're using a Keystone, you know, retaining block 40 or whatever it is. You can look at it online and go, okay, that's a nice looking stone. That'll look great. You get an idea of the height. You can see, you know, dimensions. I don't know what that means, 3 blocks. So, okay, now we've already made the motion to approve. This is what always confused me. So I would like to prefer actually to take away that motion and go to a motion to defer pending material submission, so we know what's being used.
I'll second your motion for the deferral.
Yeah, now this is one that I believed. Now here's something we could have some conversation on. I wish we had more of our committee members here. This is also one we could move to approve pending material submission approval, right? Or material, you know, George, so they could give you something, send you, you know, an email or something with what it is. You can shoot it to Joe Jean and myself, and we can shoot it back. Yep, we're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we outlined here things that are a hard no, that you would not allow, and then we could even, you know, we could approve conditionally that the applicant work with Sudden Valley staff to, you know, to get their materials approved. I mean, if they're working with like a 3-man stone, I wouldn't have any issues. You know, I mean, that seems to be pretty consistent with what we see in the community.
Yeah.
The ground treated logs, which are pretty consistent as long as they're not railroad timbers. I mean, there's a lot of options, the eco blocks, as long as they weren't exceeding that 48 inches. Those materials, I think if we identified, you know, hard nose, whether that be cinder blocks or brick or things that we don't feel meet the aesthetic value of the neighborhood, we could identify those here.
Yeah, on that, so I would need more convincing on that. So before I start saying this is what I don't want to see or what we don't want to see, I think a homeowner should say, this is what we're using. This is what our plan is. This is what we plan on using. Don't tell us what we can't use. And then we'll just throw any one of 30 or 40 different items in there. I don't think that's how we want to proceed. So in that case, on this one, then I would stick to deferral pending submission of material that they planning on using. And to me, that should be a common thing, George. So this is something that, and as time goes by, right? So maybe by this summer, when people are taking these in, you'll know, or whoever's taking them in, Deb or whoever will know to ask for that. What material are you using? That they're going to ask that. They know the ACC is going to ask these questions. What material are you using? We need to see that. You know, this is one address needs to be on the house. It needs to be a lot line strong, or some string indicating a hose laid out or something indicating where this retaining wall is going, how long it's going to be. They just have some wordage on here. It runs toward the propane tank. That leaves a lot of open for interpretation for us. We just walk out there. Where does it start? Where does it end? So, you know, I think we just need to start. Probably should have been something we could have talked about privately, but, you know, I just want to make sure we start doing doing good on taking these in, making sure everybody's getting everything down, and we're seeing what they actually want to do when we go out there and not guessing, I guess. So, all right, so my motion was deferred pending additional information on material.
I'll second it.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, item number 7, 1 Cold Spring Lane, tree removal.
Move to approve.
Yeah, the only note I got on this was move to approve with just pending county permits, you know, make sure they get the proper permits.
Yeah, I also think they should take three over by the shed. They're only taking, there's some other trees they need to take down.
I agree with you. So some of the trees, they even had ribbons. So my assumption was that is someone else's lot. I didn't understand that, but all the trees that were ribboned, in my opinion, needed to come down. So they must not be all on their lot, or maybe they're doing them in a bunch at a time. They can only, you know, it's expensive to have trees removed. So
yeah. There were 4 little ones by the shed, along with the 4 they want to take down. And I said, just take them all down, because none of them look very good.
Yeah, well, this is request is only for 5.
I know.
Yeah, and they had like 9 of them ribboned or something. So, well, okay, we're in a move we move to approve. Joe Jean did, and I'll second that, and that's unanimous.
Yep.
The only conversation was we think they could take down additional trees. Okay, item number 8, 26 High Cliff Lane. Alteration, exterior alteration request.
I'll move to approve.
And I'll second that. That was for a metal roof. That's approved. Okay, item number 9, 47 Jasper Ridge Lane. Exterior alteration. This one, let me see. I had a note on here. Let me just tell you what my note is. Go ahead. You can say your thing.
I was going to say move to approve. Both of them looked like the color would go along with the house and stuff. I actually went out and checked all these things this time.
Okay, this is one, so discussion wise, this is something again. So here you have a roofing request for a new metal roof. They obviously know what they want to use. They could have put that right on here. And we could have looked this up. I have no idea if this is a veined roof, if it's flat pieces of metal, what kind of roof is this?
Well, it just says metal roof.
For High Cliff, it does have the color code.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, the color code is included in the application, yes.
Where's it at?
Whether, if I'm looking at tool, sorry, just make sure we're on, we are on item number 9.
47 Jasper? Yes.
Correct, yep. No, excuse me, I was looking at the previous item.
Where's it at? I don't see it on here.
No, excuse me, just disregard. I was looking at a item.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at the previous item because there's 2 metals back to back, or 2 roof requests.
Yeah.
So I can't see the material. And so that's just a standard typical requirement or request, is that we know what material. Just metal roof doesn't cut it for me. And I know you had to have the motion to approve so we can discuss. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's corrugated metal, there's all kinds of metal that we would not approve. There's all kinds of, you know, yeah, we don't know what this is. So, you know, based on the house, I'm assuming it's going to be a nice roof and all that, but we shouldn't be making assumptions. They should be on here. We're asking for, you know, a Johnson's F45 weathered copper roof or whatever. And then I could look it up online and go, okay, yep, that fits right in. That looks good. So I'm, my motion is to defer pending material submission, or, you know, nomenclature or something, so we know what we're looking at.
I'll approve your.
You'll second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, so that's deferred with comments. Now, I'm sorry if that doesn't sound right, but to me, it's just like the ACC, that's what we're supposed to be doing. At the very least, we should know what they're using, the material and so forth. And
I remember in the olden days, requests usually had all these, the information that you're talking about, like when people built walls, they had to show us where they were going to go, how tall they were, and all of that. And then if they were too tall, whether they had building permits or whatever. And it seems a lot of that information is missing and is important.
Well, and Jogene, that we still actually do that. So we always had that. We take that. It's just because of all the changes, you know, that they've had and been short-staffed in the office and stuff. And then in all fairness too, because of COVID, a lot of stuff was all of a sudden sent in online, and you miss that connection of when you're taking it in, looking at it, going, oh, here, you need a paint chip, or you need, you know, you don't have that ability. It just comes in online and, hey, did you get it? Yeah, I got it. And they probably forget to ask, and new people and stuff. So hopefully with George and Dan and Deb and John there, it slowly will start getting back to normal, and we'll have all the stuff submitted when the application is right there.
Saying that all that kind of information is really important to do. And if we had it in the beginning, we wouldn't have to defer it and then vote on it again next meeting and that sort of thing. And
yeah,
it would be great when that sort of thing happens. And it's the same with the street address being visible. I mean, probably half the houses in Sudden Valley don't have visible house numbers. And that's really hard when you go looking for these places.
Yeah, and then a quarter of them don't have house numbers, period. So you're left with a quarter of the houses you can actually see the addresses on.
I take my big map and hope for the best.
I'll tell you, if I was a FedEx driver up here, I think I would have quit a long time ago. FedEx or UPS. I'm like, I don't know how they do it. Okay, I think that, did that cover everything? No, I'm sorry. We have one more, don't we?
Two more. As one more agenda item, be number 12. However, this was old business. We had previously moved to defer. We wanted to see, committee wanted to see some more detailed drawings on the deck. The confusion was, how far is this extending out? Is an additional 10 feet? Was this 10 feet from the house itself? I had talked to the contractor. I just haven't yet to receive any of those detailed site plans.
Okay, so all right,
we're still in need of that info.
Okay, excellent on that. I sent you an email regarding this project, and I should have sent that actually to everybody, but I didn't. Hang on, I was trying to see. I can't get it up anyways. Okay, so all right, this project for me right now, the way it stands, it would have to be an absolutely no. And I'll tell you why. This is just for me currently, and with more information, right, the better decisions we can make, and more input from different committee members would be great. So they want to put their house 5 foot from the edge of pavement is what their application states. 5 foot from the edge of pavement. Currently, their property corners are currently marked. The one on the right side of the house, so that'll be the west side of the house, I guess, is that one was 14 feet from the edge of pavement. The property corner on the left side of the house is 17 foot from edge of pavement. Right to the left of that, there's a fire hydrant. That fire hydrant is 9 foot off the edge of pavement. So I don't know how we could allow anyone to start a structure, a garage. That means they would only have a 5 foot driveway into their garage at 5 foot off of pavement. This just doesn't make sense to me. And here's the deal, George. So a lot of people buy lots up here, right? They get a cheap lot, a great lot. Hey, it's got view. It's a cheap lot because these are difficult lots to build on. And the guy who sold the lots know this, and the people that buy them most likely know this. So we can't just, wow, this is a tough lot to build on. Let me put my house on the edge of the street. That can't happen. For one, Sudden Valley didn't we sign that agreement with utility easements for like PSE that has a 15-foot PSE utility easement on the front of everybody's property? If we let someone build a house 5 foot off the street, that means 10 foot of that PUE is underneath that house, and we allowed it to happen. So there's some considerations that I know seem, maybe I'm stretching, I don't know. It just seems, I don't want to get us into a bind by allowing these kind of things. They're kind of serious. You put a house in a location, you can't just pick it up and move it. Joe Jean, did you get a chance to look at this one and had any
we're talking about 39 High Cliff Lane?
Yes.
I couldn't tell where it was, and I wasn't going to climb up another mountain to see what it looked like. So, like I have no idea where. I drove up down the street a couple of times, but couldn't figure out which lot they were talking about. But I agree that only having a 5 foot setback or as close to the street as you said is not a good idea.
So here's the deal on that. That's not even a 5 foot setback. So their 20 foot setback starts from their property corner and it goes 20 feet back. They are not supposed to have a permanent structure built within that 20 foot of their property corner. They want to build 5 foot off Sudden Valley's right away. That means 15 feet, or let's see, I said 14 foot was their property marker. 10 feet of their house is actually going to be on Sudden Valley's property.
Then we should very well approve it. Have they gotten any county permits or anything like that, or is this the first?
This is the first go around that I'm aware of. That I could remember, I should say that. I don't have the best memory, but I don't recall this one coming on here before. So, yeah, so this is an issue.
This had been previously heard at the beginning of December. I believe we.
Oh yeah, you said old business, didn't you?
Yeah, this is old business. The committee had requested some more detailed information. That's part of the geotechnical engineering report for that.
What was the request for in you said December or November?
It's dated, received December 8th.
And what was that request for?
This is for that same request, this variance request to move in within the setback.
And what additional information did they supply that they didn't supply then?
We have this essentially a site map, two site maps, and the geotechnical engineering report.
This is all, yeah. So yeah. So no, I got yeah, this is a serious, like to me, this is a serious one, man. Yeah. And so you have a street right now that's right one way. And George, I guess we'll talk later too about stuff, but yeah, so if we ever want to widen that street, I mean, there's all kinds of implications on this thing, ramifications. There's all kinds of no's, to me, red flags on this one. But again, that's just me. I'm just one person on the committee. So when the rest of the guys are here, they can make their decision once they're informed of everything. Now, this site did have an actually address on it. It was nailed to a tree, but it's a wood address. But you could see it. It was just, I didn't see it at first either. I went by and all of a sudden I went, oh, there it is, right on a tree, like right in the middle of your vision. That's what
there wasn't a lot of place to park around there, so I probably never got out of my car.
All right, so on this one, Joe-Jean, what do you want to do on this one? What is your recommendation?
I was reading some of the stuff and they said something about building this house with the garage and parking. And there's a lot of houses in Sudden Valley that don't have garages. And could they build it farther on the lot without a garage?
True. It's a requirement actually that they do have a garage. I know there is a lot that were built prior.
Yeah, okay. I don't know, maybe we should, I mean, if we move to deny, would they just come back and sue Sudden Valley or something because they bought the lot and stuff?
I don't know how they could sue Sudden Valley. I mean, to me, that's due diligence on your lot. You know, you you bought a lot. I'm sure you got it real cheap, and realizing there's building issues. Like I said earlier, a lot of these lots are cheaper than any other where, because they're difficult to build on, and there's a lot of restrictions in some cases. And maybe the builder or the lot sellers are knowledgeable of that, and maybe not necessarily telling the lot buyers, but and then they run into it when they submit their plans or realize, wow, this thing's going to be tough. But yeah, in this case, man, I said for me, like, it's an absolute no for me. And since there's only two of us, it would have to be a no today anyways. Then now we could defer it pending additional information, but to me, there is no way that, and I guess I'll say this because I'm on record, that I would approve a house to be built 5 foot off the road because there's so many issues. I mean, again, you still have parking issues. You don't have a driveway.
Yeah.
So we're that's a problem. It is a problem. So it's something they need to figure out and maybe talk to a different designer. It looks like they're working with the guy who sold them the lot is maybe the builder designer or something. I'm not sure, but at this point, I would have to say deny pending our comments, unless you think it's better to go deferred pending additional information, which we can do.
If the ACC denies a request, can a person put in the same request as a new request? I thought that once something was denied, they couldn't resubmit it. Well,
in the it's either the policies or the bylaws or something. They said once they make their determination, it's permanent. However, I have seen things that have been changed once the decision has been made, because additional information comes into play, and some of it is extremely pertinent, and it wasn't there at the time the decision was made by ACC. So that brings up a good point. So if that case, we can say deferred. Why George would probably check into that a little further to see if we did deny it, then does that mean it could never be brought back? I don't see how that could be. You think you'd be able to bring it back with additional information?
Yeah, wouldn't they be able to appeal a decision?
Yes, you could always write appeal. Yeah, you could. You could appeal decision and take it up with, I guess, Dan or the board or whatever. We haven't done that. And since I've been here, we've never appealed anything. And we don't even have an appeal committee because we haven't had any issues. So, it hasn't come up before. But on this one, so to me, George, have you seen this house? Have you actually looked at the house plans for this house? Or is that something that...
this I have not seen a new construction package for.
What's that?
I have not seen build plans or a new construction package.
All right, because because he says in order to build an appropriately sized home with parking and garage to meet Sudden Valley guidelines, without any information as to what the house size is. So what is an appropriate size home? I mean, if they're meeting our guidelines, that'd be 1,000 square feet with a 1-car parking garage. So I don't know what that is. So that's letting me try to guess what they mean by that. It's just, I'd say, all right, then I'll make the motion to defer pending additional information.
Second.
All right, so we'll keep this one alive until we find out further clarification on if we denied. I don't think denying, I don't see why you couldn't come back, but you're right. I need to check that and be sure myself. I wouldn't have an issue with it if they came back with additional information.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't get in trouble.
I appreciate that, Jodine. Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, and the other thing, on one of their site plans they sent, I had an issue. Is this the right one? Yeah, it doesn't have the address on here, but you can see it. And also too, if you look at their one site plan on the road, it says calculated center of road. And I'm like, who calculated that? I don't know if that's correct or not. So, you know, it's like a hard time deciphering without having actual information. All right, so is that the end of our items?
There was one more item. However, I don't believe the builder or the property owner is in attendance.
What item was that one?
This is a conceptual review, essentially for a retaining wall.
Is that on here?
Should be item 13.
Oh, it is. Why did I just check off 8 Morning Glory? Yeah, you're right. Item 13. So on this one, no, it's fine. The builder's not here. That's okay for me because all I'm looking at on this one, conceptual design of a retaining wall. So to me, all I'm doing is looking at that brick and saying, is that something that we would approve here in Sudden Valley? Is that correct? I'm not approving the location.
Correct. Materials, the review those materials. That's what they're hoping to work with. As well as there's a question, and this is where I was hoping builder or owner would be here to help kind of guide this discussion. But my understanding is that they would like to build this retaining wall to, how do I best say it? To produce parking at the location prior to commencing construction.
Yeah, but this is permanent. So we allow temporary construction parking, and they would put us an application in for that, and they would show us on the site plan where that temporary parking is going. This is what they're asking for, is permanent parking.
Correct.
Let me say they want it to be 12 feet from the road, and I'm opposed to that.
And it also shows it angling right all the way down to the road.
Yeah, the house next to it, I kind of just pasted off, and I thought that was about 16 or 17 feet off the road. And so if these guys wanted to build theirs 12, it's, you know, in the 20-foot setback and everything. And then my question was, did you look at is the wall going to be, is the top of the wall going to be at the level of the parking space? Because it was a big slope down to where they'd be building or something. You know, was this wall going to be standing, it looks kind of tall to me, like 5 feet tall from street level? Or is it going to, in essence, be below level, street level, so that it holds the parking area flat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, my understanding here was that this was really, the developer was really curious of whether we would, ACC would approve the construction of permanent parking prior to commencing the building of a structure. So that's really what this was about, and coupled with the conceptual materials.
Yeah, but they were also asking it to be 12 feet from the pavement.
Yeah, absolutely, as their plan, yes.
And I'm opposed to that.
Okay.
I mean, if the one next door is 16 to 18 feet, they should be at least that depth also. Plus, I think it was a middle lot. There are 3 vacant lots, and it was the middle one, but the house to the left was about.
Okay, and here's something that that I have issue with is we're getting, and I sent that to you in an email. George is trying to get clarification for everybody, like some of our board members, us, everybody, right? We all need to know. Dan, clarification on roadways, easements, and so forth. Because here we're getting another one where they're saying they would like to build the wall 12 feet from the edge of pavement. We have never used really edge of pavement for anything. We use their property corner markers. They shouldn't be building anything in Sudden Valley's right of way without Sudden Valley giving approval. And they should be asking for a request to build. This is parking, so it's a little different. I get that. But the 12-foot setback should be from their property corners. We're proposing instead of 20 foot back, we're going to build something within 12 foot on our property. I don't want to start getting confused. If edge of pavement doesn't necessarily mean their property. One side of my house, my property marker is like 1.5 feet off the edge of pavement because the road kind of meanders right through the right of way where the road can go through here. On the other side of my house, it's like 8 feet off the edge of pavement. That area from the property, the white markers up, that's all Sun Valley right away. You guys could do whatever you want in that thing, and they could come back and widen that road. They could, like my road's one way narrow, like it's only 9 feet wide or something. But one day they may want to make it 12 foot wide. There's people talking about, oh, the county is going to take over Sun Valley and all that. If that was the case, then Sun Valley would need to make these county approved roads, which are nowhere near that. They would need to be widened. So we're going to need that space at some point. We start letting people put stuff off of edge of pavement, we could be running into trouble someday.
Sure, no, absolutely.
Just food for thought.
Yep. So for comments, can I record, you know, the committee's consensus is, you know, initially we're opposed to constructing this parking so close to the road, the 12 feet. We would actually, ideally, we would like to see something a little bit further away, that's 16 to 20 feet from the road.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. And then how do we feel about those kind of textured eco blocks? Those are approved just for clarity for them in general.
He didn't mean like white though, right? We could use it. I mean, he's going to submit different colors or something, or is he thinking that's what he wants to use? That's not the eco block, is it?
I mean, eco block is a pretty general term, but
I guess that's white too. I just didn't want like painted. These look like they're painted.
They do look clean. So I guess our comments would be no paint. We'd want to leave those a natural finish.
Yeah, I would prefer something natural, but go ahead, Jogene.
Is that face of the wall going to be facing towards the street or towards the house? Is that going to be a retaining wall that's holding up the parking area? So in essence, people on the street would just see the top of the wall, not the side. See, that's where I'm confused.
That was my assumption, that based off the slope that they'd be using those blocks to build up and create a level, surface level with the street parking space.
Yeah, okay, so then
my assumption again.
They have to tell us how tall it is and that sort of thing, because it's, it's going to be taller than, you know, just a three.
Yeah. So I was thinking when it said conceptual, that's where I was thinking. He was just asking, hey guys, would you be good if I use this kind of block for a retaining wall? That's in my head. That's what I was thinking. And I'm like, that's all that is. Yep, I'm cool with
that. That's the intention here, is just some feedback to provide. They're not, we don't have a new construction build for this project yet or anything like that, but they were hoping to commence this work, build the parking pad, a permanent parking pad prior to commencing construction. And we just wanted to get some feedback from the ACC on that, because I do know we can allow the temporary parking, but I think the slope and the uniqueness of this lot, that they were like, well, if we're going to build here, we might as well just build our permanent. But that doesn't really line up with sort of our policies and procedures.
Yeah, George, what's your take on it?
You know, I mean, my take is, I mean, as of yet, not seeing a full build packet for this. I would want, I mean, obviously there's the, you know, how long would this stay? I mean, if we allow a permanent parking structure to be built, how long would that exist before construction commences? That's my kind of big question. I don't, you know, aesthetically, the eco blocks and that texture stuff, that's, you know, I don't have any qualms with that. I think that's pretty consistent with our community. There is a difference between sort of, you know, the distance from the wall, or the distance of the retaining wall to the road, you know, from neighboring. Jogene, you mentioned that as well. You know, further back, I think is more ideal, you know, than being so close to the road.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know, that does have different requirements for the builder as far as the amount of fill they have to use. You know, but you know, I just don't know if approving permanent parking and then having a build be started later down the road at a non-predetermined date. If that's something that we're allowing, I think that's a pretty unique situation there.
Yep, that's fair. I appreciate that. That's good. So we're all on the same page.
Exactly. And I think this is, again, just great feedback for the builder right here. This is really what we're looking for, to try to inform the discussion before they make any moves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like it. That's good. That's good. All right. So he's good on the block and he got some good feedback. Okay. Now go ahead, Jojine. Sorry.
I mean, are we going to move to approve the block wall and then comment about how far off the pavement it needs to be and stuff? Because how wide is a normal car? I don't know how big a car is. And on my street, there are some parking places that aren't big enough. And so the cars are over the fog line and stuff. And is 12 feet big enough to have a car parked there? And, you know, usually if they have a passenger, then they have to be even closer to the road so the passenger can get out on their side. That kind of issue. Is 12 feet enough space for a safe parking area? I don't think it is.
Yeah, I would think like a car space at a grocery store around here, like California, we're like 9 foot, 8'6", 9 feet. Up here, they're a little tight. I feel they're tight. You get dinged everywhere you go here. So 12 feet to me would be wide enough. Or if it's like an accessory parking space for, you know, for homes here in Sun Valley, because maybe they only have like 2 parking stalls, they need another one. I can understand that. I would think 12 feet would be more than enough. That's just my opinion, though. You know, I think that's plenty of parking. You might have to let your passenger out first, and then pull in and park, and then, you know, get out or whatever and do that kind of thing. We park sometimes, like when we have stuff here at the house on the other side of our street, and I think maybe we got like 6 feet or 7 feet. So you park over there. Sometimes, depending on who gets the best one, you have to go out of the passenger side door. So you have to crawl over the thing and go out the door to get on the street, because it's a one-way street. So we're parking on the other side of the street. But it says on here the average width of a car is 5.8 feet. I don't think that's true. I think it would be wider. But that's why I'm thinking 8 feet for parking stalls. But anyways, I just thought I'd look that up real quick. But yeah, that's some stuff. And George, we need to talk. Let's get out of our meeting real quick. Let's go ahead and adjourn. And then I want to talk real quick, George, ask you about something about gravel. So we'll go ahead and get our meeting over. And then unless we have anything else to. Did
we vote on this one?
Yeah, we just, I think we did move to approve the conceptual block design, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. You know, right now it just looks like block. And then George made all the comments. We don't want paint. We want natural stone, or, you know, something along those lines. Natural concrete even would look better than a painted thing. Paint tends to fade and peel and go away after a few years if not upkept, and it looks yucky. Are you good with that, Jojine, or you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so we're going to adjourn the meeting at 10:21 a.m. The meeting is officially adjourned.